Hello, Janet here, speaking to you live from Darwin Hospital. Last Thursday, I walked into my GP, my doctor, with a pain on my right side. And one CT scan later, I walked out with a diagnosis of probable bowel cancer. And I've spent the last 72 hours, as you can probably imagine, on an emotional roller coaster as I navigated all the various possibilities and permutations of that diagnosis. And I'm sharing this video simply because three very important things came up for me, which if you ever find yourself in this situation, might be useful for you to know in advance. The first thing was extreme clarity on what I wanted, where I wanted my life to end. And that for me was a very simple bucolic environment in the countryside, a simple house, a running creek, a nice tree to lean up against, some green grass with sunlight on it. That picture became very clear to me. The second thing was my program, The Fifth Door. I was plotting in bed how I can develop that so that it's transferable to someone else, so that the IP of that doesn't go with me. And the third thing was the realization that how we die is probably just as important as how we live, and is a reflection of that. And that aspect of how we die is how we choose to receive information that may come totally out of the blue, that we may never have expected, as this did to me. And for the first night I was in a public ward and I was sitting next to this woman. She'd had a lung out, she'd had her bladder out. She'd been doing cancer group therapy work. And she said the resounding mindset amongst that group was, why me? You know, instantly going into victim mode. And I thought, how can you possibly heal from that situation, from that position, where everything is happening to you and you absolutely abdicate control? And I thought, that's not going to be me. I'm going to absolutely take control. So I insisted on sitting down with the surgeon and prior to the colonoscopy and saying, please, just tell me, you've seen the scan, tell me what you think. And he said, there's a tissue mass there that's 8 centimeters, right? To put that in context, like an average tumor might be about 4 centimeters. So anyway, I said, okay, in your opinion, do you think it's likely to be malignant? He said, yes. I said, okay, in terms of stages, what stage do you think I would be at? He said, stage 3. I went, great, good. So I went to bed with the certainty of knowing that. And then as I was lying in bed, I thought, what's the best thing I can do from here? And we have a choice, right? We can either live in shame and humility and not tell anyone about our condition, and haven't we seen that with the COVID epidemic? People are ashamed of having this virus, like it's anything to do with them. And my dad was the same. He had prostate cancer. He didn't tell anyone. No one was allowed to know. And I thought, I'm not going to do it that way. I'm going to get the facts, work out a plan, and then with all my nearest and dearest, and they were really what I was concerned about more than anything, I'm going to let them know what the plan is so that they don't have to live in fear of what if, so that they too have some sense of ownership in this whole situation. The other great revelation for me was that if I did die tomorrow, and who knows, we all could, right? I would absolutely have no regret. And I know that I only have that knowledge having done the work that I've been doing with the Fifth Door in, say, the last few years. If I'd been in my role as an advertising agency owner or a restaurant owner or a landscape developer, I know on my deathbed I would be lying there with a sense of regret, a sense of I missed my calling. So even though I haven't been teaching this Fifth Door program for very long, I've been teaching it for long enough for it to give me the sense of fulfillment that I needed to know that I could die in peace. And that to me was the most important thing of all. So anyway, I went and had my colonoscopy this morning. I'm still recovering from the GA if I sound a little bit groggy. The doctor said to me, what we thought was a tumour is actually diverticulitis. So you have a very serious form of diverticulitis, which is throughout the whole colon. So it's no little thing, right? But it's actually not cancer. So as soon as he said that, the whole notion of imminent death disappeared. And obviously I felt a great wave of relief, but I also felt extreme gratitude for having gone through this experience to witness how I personally would deal with this situation when it does finally happen. And I got an enormous relief from knowing that that C word was not a death sentence for me at all. In fact, it was a coming to life opportunity. It brought me to life. It made me think, how can I step up here and be a role model for my children? Because I have known relatives, my dad, who have died from cancer, not told anyone. It's been their deep, dark secret, and it takes us years to process the unresolved grief that comes from that. So if ever you're in this situation, remember, yes, it's about you, but it's also about the people that you leave behind. And to take an open approach to it, not this is the worst thing that ever happened to me, but what if this could be the best thing that happened to me? What if I could show the people I care for how to die in a way that they won't be left bereft and grief-struck and then in a state of depression for years to come? What if we could turn this into a normal part of life by sharing with them our experiences and how we feel? And I only obviously got a glimpse of that over the last 72 hours, but it was such a relief and such a deburdening to understand that that's all we have to do to remove shame, humiliation. There is no shame about dying. It happens to all of us. To take away those negative emotions and go, okay, how do I bring everyone into this in a way that they don't feel shocked or grief-struck, with the facts, a clear plan going forward, and reassuring them that yes, your life has been worthwhile. They don't have to grieve for you, and that in turn liberates them to live their lives fully. So I hope that's been useful. Bye for now.